number 1 is off to another dominant run. Walker Fowler sweeping the first 3 rounds of 2019 and looking for 4 next.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Round 4 of the 2019 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series, presented by Specialized. The Maury Sportsman Preserve here in South Carolina. This is awesome. We got a motocross track, a great place to hang out even if you weren't racing in the woods, which is what we're going to do today. And what we did in North Carolina at our last race. Hang on to it, everybody. Here's your highlights for most. Low light for Adam McGill, who got spun around sideways at this Steel Creek GNCC. This is our previous event. Walker Fowler off to the races in the right way up front on his number 1 Yamaha. Cole Richardson and Bryson Neal also on Yamahas right behind him. Steel Creek, one of the most popular races of the year, so there's lap traffic out there everywhere. But even that would not slow up Fowler. Now Bryson Neal had really struggled at the beginning of the year with some bad luck, so this was a key run for him to get up into the number 2 position and fight off the charge from everyone else, including McGill, who's trying to come from the back. Richardson's good run was spoiled when he hit a tree and snapped an A-arm in its front suspension. You can see how easily you can do that when you're running fast and in the trees. The benefactor of some of that carnage, no surprise, the man they call the Sneaky Snake, Jared McClory, laid in wait and then late in the event took over 3rd to lock down a podium. Good job for the man 2nd in the series last year. With such a variety of riders having equipment problems, the pit stops turned a little extra dramatic, including for the rookie, Hunter Hart. And there's Richardson heading back to the pits after his machine was broken. All this merely illustrates the potential pitfalls of racing for 2 hours at speed in the woods. Yet, Walker Fowler avoids it all, and he is 3 for 3 to start the season. He won all but 1 race in this championship 2 years ago, so you know what's on his list. Try to win them all this year. These are the FMF Steel Creek GNCC results. McGill from way back to 4th, by the way. Can any of these riders knock Fowler off? We asked Walker about that.
One race at a time. You can't have a perfect season if you lose one somewhere in the middle. So at round 13, if we're still undefeated, then I guess we have the opportunity to talk about an undefeated season. But until then, these guys are tough. Every race, they're getting closer and closer. We started at 2 minutes, went to 1 minute. Last race was 40 seconds, so I expect this one to be close.
Well, the fans, you can tell, are certainly fired up here. Our official starter, Ricky Towery, ready to get this thing going. I'm Jason Wygant with the call. Here we go from South Carolina. And Fowler's on the inside. Let's see if that holds up. And I already have the opportunity to tell you, this is sandy soil here in South Carolina, and you can see it. And as soon as the riders got to the brakes in turn 1, these machines bogged down big time. You've got to keep the momentum up. Fowler has not always nailed his starts through the years, but he's gotten much better at that, and that's only making it more difficult than everyone else. So he has the Wiseco Hole Shot Award. Cole Richardson is closest in pursuit as we're headed to the woods and also back to the start for Pro-Am. These are the up-and-coming chargers in this sport. Matthew Lindell going to lead them out of the first turn and across the hole shot line. All Balls Racing going to give him some money. The man they're all trying to beat today is John Gallagher, who has won the first 3 rounds. He could be the next big thing in this sport. At one point, Fowler won that class, and Hunter Hart, who won it last year, is one to watch. And also Richardson in 2nd, a former champion of that division. So that's where the talent comes from, and they all converge on row 1 in our pro class. And good to see the veterans like Chris Borage still in action. Borage, the all-time leader in GNCC career wins, also a 6-time GNCC champion. He's been pretty strong this year, and I'm sure none too happy about the success Fowler has had. So let's see if this cavalry can keep the champion in sight. We mentioned Richardson, also Jared McClure and Bryson Neal in the hunt, along with Borage. Over one of the many bridges that help the riders crisscross this facility. With the sandy soil really curious how this race is going to play out. It will get much rougher and just change so much as the day goes on. There's McGill, another bad start at the back of this pack. That has happened far too often for McGill. He's hot or cold. He's either way out front early or way in the back. Hardly ever see him in mid-pack. And you see these bumps they're dealing with right now. They're going to get so much bigger as the race goes on. That's what I was talking about with the sand. There's McGill moving forward. He's a good momentum rider. If he stays on top of these bumps, he can move all the way to the top of the charts. But to do it, he's going to have to get Fowler, and that's who they've been chasing all season long.
GNCC on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
When the Grand National Cross Country Series comes to town, the riders visit the local elementary schools to teach them about the positives of racing, not just winning, but confidence, focus, fitness, and determination. Allie Phillips and Taylor Jones signing some autographs, and if you're into this sort of thing now, we have a school where you can learn all about it. Here's Johnny Gallagher.
GNCC University coming back after a few years off. Excited to have this opportunity to work with some younger riders and also some older riders. We've had a great mix of students in the past couple of years, and it's pretty awesome to be able to get out there, help people get their their craft tuned in right leading up to the race. There's a meet and greet on Wednesday night. Thursday, we have some instruction classes, and then finish up a little bit of instruction on Friday morning. At the banquet at the end, everybody gets certificates and some swag to go. So pretty excited about it. Great group of instructors. Got on the ATV side, it's multi-time GNCC WXC champion Tracy Pickens, obviously current and multi-time champion Walker Fowler, myself, and also Jeff Pickens, Mark Notman, and a whole group of others that are helping us out. And then on the motorcycle side, it's Randy Hawkins, Jason Rains, Ricky Russell, Becca Sheets, and I believe Rachel Archer, as well as they've got quite a support staff as well. So there's a lot of championships and a lot of race wins in that group of people, and if you want to learn how to do it, now's your opportunity.
And that's all coming up at the Snowshoe GNCC in West Virginia. Today, though, racing South Carolina, Bryson Neal taking over the race lead. So we've got a little kink in the armor for Walker Fowler, who was leading this one and has dropped back a couple of spots. And everyone figuring out some new lines in the woods. The rules say you can be within 25 feet of the arrows in the center of the racetrack. So the course is essentially 50 feet wide. So those arrows, and it's up to these riders to figure out the best way through, and some of them even wait till later to use their best stuff. Looks like it will be a 5-lap race today. If you're Bryson Neal, it's your chance to get up and go. Try to pull away everyone else. Got to try to stay with them and then figure out how to get around. First rider to do that here is McClure in second, the rider out of Maryland. Fowler back to third. Good battle. Cole Richardson on the outside, Chris Borage on the inside. And the riders are heading now for pit stop, so here we are. This is McClure getting fresh goggles and a full tank of fuel. Look out, Fowler is coming in as he was going out. So it's a full rush job in the Walker Fowler Racing pits because he has been pushed back to third. And instead of controlling the race from the front, they're putting the pressure on him to have to come from behind. Neal and McClure. Oh, this is key. Fowler's not quite close enough to see them in that little straightaway there. And if you can't see, it's harder to chase. Same thing, Borage is trying to bridge the gap to Fowler, and Richardson staying right with him. Oh, but fitness is going to be such a big factor here in these big sand whoops. Looks to me now that Neal is leading Fowler, who's climbed back to second. So McClure has been pushed back. He's in third, Borage still fourth, Richardson still fifth, but this is great racing. And now back to the lead is Walker Fowler. So he got shuffled back to third quickly, moves back into the number one spot, but they all are in a pack right now. One little mistake, even over one of those big jumps, or in these trees, or in some of the mud, anything can happen. Although Fowler starting to stretch it back out. It's Borage now taking over second and responsibility for keeping the number one plate in view. Richardson now up to third. McClure in fourth, but he's tough in these types of situations. He'd rather come from behind usually than win it from up front. And now a big gap. This is a lap rider. What happened to Bryson Neal, who was leading this race up until moments ago? We see him now. He's got a lot of ground to make up. So dynamic event. Fowler had his mistake, got back to the front. Can Neal do the same and rally? But the rider out of Ohio is used to making come-from-behind charges, not normally a great starter. And after a mistake, he's put himself in the back again. This Sportsman's Preserve has so much to do, and we'll even import some more with a big concert. Monster Energy bringing in AJ Sanders. It's a really cool place to hang out beyond the racetrack. Back to racing. Walker Fowler into the lead again. He lost it briefly. Bryson Neal took it from him, and then Neal made a mistake. Fowler has worked his way back up, and now an alarming gap beginning to build between Fowler and everyone else. We're waiting on Chris Borage here, who just comes through in second, and Cole Richardson right behind him. So we had a 5-rider pack at the front. It might be down to 2 men to try to chase Fowler today, although you can never count out this man, Jared McClure. That's why they call him the sneaky snake. He lays in wait, and then late in the race, suddenly when things start to tighten up and everyone ramps up the pace, he is there. And then here is Neal, who was leading at one point. He's got to get moving. Well, they all do really. As Fowler's into the field section, I'd say this is the most critical juncture. They've got to keep the champion in sight. And look at that, Chris Borage has done it. He has closed the gap back up. And I don't think Borage is happy to be taking these second and third place finishes. He wants to stop Fowler today. Richardson staying with him. And it's still McClure. And now you can see how rough this track is getting. We got a battle through the lap traffic, Fowler and Borage. And that is a classic showdown. Oh, Borage got held up by the slower rider. This is the way this sport went. Borage won the championship year after year. Fowler coming through the amateur ranks. It's getting closer and closer. They had a huge showdown at the end of the 2014 season, and Borage beat Fowler straight up to win that title. Ever since then, it has been Fowler's. Borage is still a contender, maybe not quite as sharp as he was in his prime years 10 seasons ago, but on any given weekend, he has the stuff to do it. And with these lappers thwarting Fowler's every move, the champ can't get away. And if Borage has you in sight late, oh, there is nothing that he would like more than to have an old school Chris Borage race, which is simply stalk the leader until the final stretch and take the lead just as the checkered flag comes out. And maybe Borage is in position to do that today on his Suzuki, backed by Maxxis Fly Racing and Ye Olde Cycle Barn. The veteran out of Pennsylvania. And then we watch McClure. Pretty big gap. Borage and Fowler have broken away, but I believe McClure might have taken third place. Woo! What did I say about this track getting rough as the day goes on? Yeah, you bet. Borage now in the lead. So not even going to do it the cagey way of waiting to the end. He has taken the lead now. So it has not been a smooth race for Fowler. Everyone was waiting for an opening, and Borage is the man to best take advantage. And in this deep sand, let's see if he can get away. He has. Putting the power down, and he takes a look over his shoulder to see that gap. And there's nothing to see. Where is Fowler? So Borage has taken the lead and taken off. Now we see Fowler coming through, hammer down. He is running out of time to close the gap up and keep his win streak alive. Won 3 straight to start the season. There would be no one happier to snap that than Chris Borage, who's long gone out front. Can the all-time leader in GNCC wins get another? Stay with us as Borage tries to take it home from South Carolina.
GNCC on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Home stretch of what would prove to be a very popular win if he can take it, Chris Borage. And by the way, he's doing it on a rough sand track. I don't know if I consider Borage out of Pennsylvania a sand specialist, although he spent a lot of his racing days down in Florida, so these conditions probably not totally foreign to him. But regardless, mud, sand, rocks, hills, Borage has proven an all-timer at this game. 6 GNCC championships, the all-time leader in career wins. They haven't come nearly as frequently the last couple of seasons, but that only makes them feel sweeter when you get them. Now, it's not over. Walker Fowler is doing everything he can to try to reel Borage back in. He's got a sizable gap to make up. We're hearing he got stuck, either hit a tree or just a tree branch, but either way, it has made all the difference. Walker still looking to his left, trying to spot Borage, trying to figure out where he is and how much ground he's got to make up. He's got a good view there. You actually saw both of them here on the motocross track. It's about 2 straightaways of this motocross track apart. Fowler's going to have to hope. Oh, wait a minute. And whatever he's hoping for has nearly happened because it looks like Borage's engine just cut out. It's got to fire it up again. Is luck on Borage's side or not? The fans certainly are. Everyone loves to see the veteran get back to victory lane, but is that machine going to make it? Checkered flag in sight, but it's uphill. He can't push. He's got to go through it, and he does. Chris Borage wins and ends the Fowler win streak here at round 4 in South Carolina. The Borage Bandits are out en masse. There's his dad, Joe, has always been at his side. Let's talk to him.
Heck yeah, it's about time. We've been working so hard, and man, it feels good. We had kind of a scare there, probably good mile before the finish. The bike just started cutting in and out. I don't know what it was. Not low on fuel because we did a two pit stop, but scared me, shut off literally right before the finish. Turned the key off, turned it back on, and started up and popped and carried on the whole way in. And I think just everything motivated me. I know Walker's fast. I just don't like the cockiness. I've never been that way. I mean, I won a lot of races, and I've never been arrogant, cocky, and I just think he's a little too cocky for it. But hey, he can be. He's the champ for a reason right now, and he's rolling. So, just a couple keywords. Tame it down just a smidge.
Oh, okay. Little fire from Chris Borage, and that fired him up. As for Fowler, he's going to take second today, so he's fine as far as the points are concerned. But as he said at the top of the show, you can't talk perfect season until you get to the last round with all the wins. That's not going to happen. 3 straight victories ends with a second to Borage. And Fowler's headed to the podium. Let's talk to him about the runner-up ride.
Mother Nature got the best of me. The last lap with about 3 miles to go, I had a log come up into my underneath the A-arm, and part of it went in the wheel, and it locked my right front wheel up, and I just had nowhere. I tried like heck to keep moving forward, but it was pretty scary. So I stopped and I kicked a piece of it out and got rolling again. Before the damage was too far gone. But Chris had already pulled probably 20-25 seconds on me, and I was bummed for sure. I was feeling pretty good. First part of the race I did terrible, but as the race wore on, I kind of found my rhythm again and kind of learned the track and the hot lines and all that, and felt like I had it in the bag maybe, but it was going to be a good race all the way to the end, and it was.
We thought it might be a good 3-rider race to the end because Jared McClure usually shows his best stuff late, but he was too far back to get back in sight of Fowler and Borage. But he will put the JMR Maxxis Elka Moose Racing Honda on the podium in 3rd. Hold on to that, Jared.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy there. First lap, I had a good start. Baldwin motor ripped me out front there. Maxxis tires were working great all day. Got behind Walker there, and we were rolling pretty good. I think top 5 or 6 of us were in a train there for a while, but somehow I guess the XC2 guys missed a turn, and we popped out and we hit some of the XC2 traffic, and I'm like, oh no. And I kind of remembered where it was. We had trouble making the turn ourselves, but
So it was kind of rough first lap, just getting through them guys. But overall, I had a pretty good day. Bryson had a little bit of a crash. I got stuck, went back to 5th, but I just put my head down and caught back up, got around Cole. But Walker and Chris there, they were on a pretty good pace. Couldn't really close in on them. But the Elka Shocks, tuned by Impact Solutions, Texera Components, worked awesome all day. Pretty happy with the ride.
Richardson and Neal round out the top 5. Quiet day for Adam McGill. Struggling with the starts lately, ends up only 6th ahead of the rookie, Hunter Hart. Here's your AMSOIL race recap of today's CST Tires Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. A whole bunch of Yamahas up front, but Fowler's going to lock down the whole shot with Cole Richardson right behind him. And from there, it looked good for the champ. He's leading for a long time, but Chris Borage kept it close. McClure, Neal, Richardson, the usual suspects with him. And Borage then made a brief mistake, and that allowed Bryson Neal to take over the lead. But then Neal would bobble in his own right, had a crash, went back to 5th, and that opened the door for Fowler to work his way back through this pack and take over the lead for the second time. But Chris Borage stayed with Fowler, kept the heat on, and it was a classic Borage-Fowler duel, the veteran versus the current champ. And all that pressure being applied by Borage paid off, because when Fowler had another problem with the tree branch running into his machine and stopping him, that allowed Borage to take over the lead. Now Fowler was there to try to get the lead back, but another mistake late in the event, as he said, Mother Nature getting the best of him. Got to deal with varied terrain out here. That allowed Borage to get away, but then this, his machine misfires practically in sight of the finish line. You hear the fans screaming furiously. Luckily, he was able to get the Suzuki refired before Fowler could catch him, and Chris Borage wins. That's Fowler's mom there cheering him on. That's good to see. And the win streak is over. Well, it is in this class, actually. In Pro-Am, John Glauda Jr. still at it. 4 for 4 now this year. Jordan Poplowski and Drew Landers rounded out the top 3. It's Borage back on top, a popular old school win at the Bullet. Yeah, that's the best trophy of all. Good job, Dad. For everyone at Racer TV, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Racing.